We've seen some amazing things, but that, my friends, is something we've never seen.
Brandon Cruz wants advice.
Brandon Cruz wants advice.
Brandon wants advice.
Brandon Cruz wants advice. You just locked yourself into the playoffs.
Nice. Got it.
Talk with old Brandon Cruz wants advice.
Completely speechless, to say the least.
Man, I am honestly so baffled by that decision. Brandon Cruz wants advice. It's Brandon wants advice.
Green flag in the air. Brandon Cruz wants advice to the front.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Brandon Cruz Daily Fantasy Podcast. We will be going over the receiver rankings for the 2019 seasons right now before preseason football. So, as I said before, these are my own rankings of how I'm thinking all this is going to go. I know some of you guys care, some of you don't. I mean, the quarterback rankings, I think I only have like 38 views on it right now. But either way, I do appreciate you guys checking it out. Be sure to follow me on Twitter. Check out my Patreon if you guys actually care about supporting me. You can, please. No one has done it yet, but at least look at it. You know, be nice. But yeah, NASCAR videos coming out this weekend for the trucks. I'm thinking about I'm gonna throw the trucks and Xfinity into one video because I think they all qualify or they all practice right now. But we got that coming out. I'll make the tight end rankings after this, and then more NASCAR videos for Sunday morning, and then running back video should be out Monday, and my DraftKings Millionaire Maker statistics behind it, or like the statistics for surrounding the contest, will be out then. But anyway, let's get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. Starting off, my receiver rankings, ranked number 1 is Davante Adams for the Green Bay Packers. Now, even though I had Aaron Rodgers ranked number 9 on my quarterback rankings, and I'm not a huge fan of Green Bay in general. I don't like Aaron Rodgers, but guys, let's not forget how many targets Davante Adams had last year. 169 targets out of 15 games that he played, 111 catches, so a catch percentage of 65.7 and 13 touchdowns. Davante Adams was the only receiver last year, and the only player last year, in whether it's standard PPR formats or if you look at it in fantasy sports, whether DraftKings and FanDuel, he was the only receiver every week to go into double digits. That's all 16 weeks, at least over 10 points in standard and PPR formats, and it's just Davante right now. Yeah, sure, they have the other two receivers. I just went blank, Scantling and someone else, and he has Aaron Jones over there. But no, Aaron Jones is not with him anymore. No, he is. Yeah, he is. But man, it's gonna be the Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers show. That is all it's going to be, man. It is. That's all it's going to be. Granted, yeah, Aaron Jones is there. And I do believe Aaron Jones will be involved in the receiving game for Green Bay. But it's going to be all Davante Adams. Next, we got DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins, last year, 16 games played. 163 targets, so around the same as Davante Adams, 115 receiving, or actually 115 receptions and 11 touchdowns. That's not bad at all, man. Same thing with Aaron Rodgers. I think Deshaun Watson is going to be a bit better this year. He had some issues last year, some injuries here and there. He wasn't feeling well. His O-line was fucking horrendous and everything like that. So I got DeAndre Hopkins ranked number 2. Number 3 is my favorite play this entire year. I'm going to go out of my way to get Julio Jones in every draft I have. He is my main target, my main player. Don't give a fuck about running backs. Last year I got Micheal Thomas in the second round of my fantasy draft, and he was just leading my team. I had Ezekiel Elliott too. Ezekiel Elliott and Thomas, that was fantastic. This year, my receiver that I'm targeting is Julio Jones, which is why I have him 3rd ranked on this list. I think Adams and Hopkins have a bit higher ceiling than Julio Jones, and Julio might scare some people away because people think, like, oh, he's not making any touchdowns or anything. But he went, and I said this in the quarterback video when I was talking about Matt Ryan, he went like the first 9 fucking weeks without a touchdown. or he went like an 8-game stretch, something along those lines. I don't think he made a touchdown until like week 9 or 10 or something like that. 16 games played, 170 targets, 113 receptions, 8 touchdowns, yard per reception, 14.8. That's nearly 15 yards. Just every play, it's a first down, guaranteed a first down, guaranteed. What is it? A point. I forgot how it is. I just went blank. 1 point for receiving, 1 point for 10 yards. Yeah, so he's got receiving, pretty much a first down every catch. He's flying out. Doesn't matter if he's triple coverage. Doesn't matter if he's double coverage. I mean, Julio Jones was fucking killer, man. He was wild last year. I think he's going to be even wilder this year because, granted, they have one solid running back, but I don't believe that Freeman is going to just be the, like, he's going to get no what is it? He's not going to get any targets. Coleman, if anything, was getting targets there, but he's not there anymore. Julio Jones is who I'm targeting. He's who I'm focusing on. Number 4, Micheal Thomas. I already said it. Everyone knows how he was last year. A wild man last year. He was consistent pretty much the first 3 quarters of the year. He backed off a little going into the playoffs. I'm not entirely sure what happened there, but he did back off. Had the most receptions last year with an 85% catch rate. 147 targets, 125 receptions, 1,400 receiving yards, 9 touchdowns, and average yards per reception, 11.2. Fan-fucking-tastic. And let's be honest, all these guys, pretty much the top 15 in this list, all go over 10 yards per reception. So these guys are just killer. But yeah, Micheal Thomas, number 4. Now, this is where my list kind of differs from other people. I've seen, Pat Mayo's, I've seen ESPN, CBS, a couple other guys out there since we're all throwing them out here. This is when I differ. I'm super high on JuJu Smith-Schuster for Pittsburgh. People are scared that James Conner is going to take Le'Veon Bell's bell cow position where he runs, he's catching. I don't believe it's going to happen. I think it's more going to be, I forgot who the other running back they have right now is at Pittsburgh, but it's going to be, pretty much a 60-40% split in the running game, so I don't have to worry about James Conner catching all these stupid passes. JuJu Smith-Schuster was already showing killer ability last year. Last year he had 166 targets, and this is with Antonio Brown there. Now, granted, Antonio Brown was injured some weeks, but this is with Antonio Brown on the field. So JuJu Smith-Schuster, 166 targets, 111 receptions, 66.9% catch rate, 1,400, just over 1,400 yards, 12.8 reception. No. Yeah, 12.8 reception. I thought I was talking about Micheal Thomas. 12.8 yards per reception, 7 touchdowns last year for JuJu Smith-Schuster. I think that's even going to go higher. Comparing that to Antonio Brown's stats, Antonio Brown last year had 15 touchdowns with the Steelers, 104 catches and 168 targets. So these two guys had the exact same targets, other than it was like 2, basically. JuJu had 166, Antonio Brown had 168 last year. JuJu Smith-Schuster had a better catch rate. Antonio Brown was 61.9%. JuJu Smith-Schuster was 66.9%. I'm not sure if that's because everyone was covering Antonio Brown, but this still comes from the games that Antonio Brown was injured and JuJu was the only guy on the field who could actually catch worth a damn. And Antonio Brown had 15 touchdowns compared to JuJu's 7. Now, the reason I have JuJu so high, number 5 on my rankings, is because I believe that JuJu's going to fall into that role. And I don't know if people are sleeping on this or what. But they got way other guys ranked higher than JuJu. I legit think JuJu is going to be a top 3 wide receiver this year in both receiving and touchdowns. But so, I mean, Julio Jones and JuJu are my 2 main guys I'm getting. I have one other guy and I get to, and those would be my 3 wide receivers that I really love. But JuJu Smith-Schuster, number 5, I think he's going to go into the role that Antonio Brown was in, and that's why I have number 5. Tyreek Hill, number 6. Now he's Tyreek Hill. I don't understand why he isn't suspended. I mean, like, if you stare at like an orphanage incorrectly, the NFL will suspend you. So then I didn't think Tyreek Hill would be playing the first couple weeks, but he is. So I have him ranked number 6. 16 games last year, 137 targets from Patrick Mahomes, 87 receptions, 12 touchdowns, and average. Now this is when it gets fucking wild. Receiving yards per reception, Tyreek Hill, 17 yards on average per reception. That is fucking insane. Now I think that's I think it's overblown because Tyreek Hill did so many fucking down the field touchdowns. Like he would do like 80, 60-yard touchdown runs. But still, that's wild, man. And without Kareem Hunt over there, I think it's going to increase, at least in the first part of the season. I'll see how everything else shapes out. But Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes, still one of the best 1-2 picks in the game. All right, moving on to number 7. And we're not too bad. We're 10 minutes into this. Moving on to number 7, Antonio Brown. Now, why do I have Antonio Brown at 7? Most people have him a bit lower. Now, I understand he's going to Oakland. I understand he has Derek Carr as a quarterback. But, guys, let's be honest here. He is the only player over there. It's like Oakland is almost another version of the Cardinals that at least has an O-line. Why do I say that? Because the Cardinals, whether it's Carson Palmer, whether it's I just went blank on the other fucking starters. God damn it, I just went blank on other starting quarterback. But whether it's Palmer, whether it's Drew Stanton, whether it's Josh Rosen, everyone was throwing to Larry Fitzgerald. That is the only guy who can catch on the Cardinals. That's how it's going to be with Oakland this year for Antonio Brown. I don't think he's gonna follow his 15 touchdowns that he did at Pittsburgh, but Antonio Brown, number 7, I think he's going to get targets fucking galore. And Derek Carr, yeah, some people are a bit wary on Derek Carr, but I mean he can throw. He's not too bad. Now on to number 8. Now this is my third wide receiver that I'm fucking wild about this year, and I'm going out of my way to target Julio Jones, JuJu Smith-Schuster, and the guy ranked number 8 on my list, T.Y. Hilton. I believe that T.Y. Hilton is vastly underestimated. He's being overlooked, and he is gonna fucking kill it. Now he started 14 games last year. He was injured here and there, but luck is showing that he's going back to his roots, and that's the Andrew Luck that we knew of before he got injured. Before he had his neck surgery and sat out, what was it, not last year, but the year before, he shows that he's still the same Andrew Luck. And the way that Andrew Luck is going to get to the top, get to the playoffs this year, is having a healthy T.Y. Hilton. Last year, 14 games, 120 targets, 76 receptions, just over 1,200 yards, 16.6 yards per reception, and 6 touchdowns. I think that's going to go up, and I think T.Y. is going to be a top 5 wide receiver this year. I think it's going to go Julio, JuJu, or not in this order, but JuJu, Julio, and T.Y. will definitely be in the top 5 in receiving yards this year. I'd put money on that. Number 9, I got Keenan Allen for the Los Angeles Chargers. Now his production is going down. It's not as good as it once was, but it's still there. And yes, he did get injured last year. He's kind of been not prone to injuries per se, but he just I think he's on a downward slope. He's not going to be hauling in the massive amounts of receptions and touchdowns that he did in years past, but I think last year was a good example of what Allen's going to be this year. So 14 games, I believe he didn't play in 2 of them, but started 14 games, 136 targets, 97 receptions. That's still not bad at all, man. That's 71% catch rate, just under 1,200 yards, 12.3 yards per reception, and 6 touchdowns. Not too bad there. Mike Evans for Tampa Bay wraps up my top 10 in this lineup. I don't know what Bruce Arians is going to do. I trust Bruce Arians. I like him as a coach. I honestly feel like he's going to get the Buccaneers in order. And now, granted, they have Adam Humphries there as well, and I think he's going to be great too. But Mike Evans is still going to get a wild amount of receptions. He is a great player. He still showed that he can still play. Even last year playing with, what was it? It was 2 quarterbacks? Yeah, because he had Fitzgerald and then Jameis Winston came in. Either way, Mike Evans, 16 games, 138 receptions or targets last year, 86 receptions. A little bit lower, lower on the scale for percentage caught, but still not bad. 1,500 yards, 17.7 yards per reception, and 8 touchdowns. Now, going back to Keenan Allen, why is he ranked higher than Evans? Evans is good for like down the field, 40-yard, 50-yard touchdown passes. Keenan Allen is more of a player who I would believe, I could see him getting 8 receptions and 42 yards in a game. Still not great, but for fantasy, that's 8 points per reception, 42 yards. What is that? 4.2 points. So what is that? 12.4 points on like DraftKings or something? I could be wrong. I have to get back. I gotta look at the scoring system again. It's been so long. But either way, that's why I have Keenan right in front of Mike Evans, just because I think he has a little bit better consistency than Mike Evans. Cooper Kupp is my 11th one. Now, granted, what did he play? 8 games last year. Let me pull up his stats right here, right fast. Where are they at? What's going on here? Cooper. Okay, well, that's not showing up. Anyway, Cooper Kupp was injured last year, and he was in 8 games. Now, granted, I know that's scary, but he was in 8 games, 55 targets, 40 receptions, 72.7% catch rate, 566 yards, 14.2 receptions, and 6 touchdowns. He scored 6 touchdowns in 8 games. Let's just say he kept that up. He'd have 12 touchdowns in all 16 games, and he'd be ranked way higher than this. So Cooper Kupp, Jared Goff's favorite receiver. He throws to him. He loves throw. He trusts Cooper. That's how it's going to be. Cooper Kupp 11. Adam Thielen number 12. Now, granted, Adam and Stefon Diggs are basically the same guy. I don't know which one is going to get more catches. I just know that Adam Thielen ends up getting more targets. Therefore, he has a better chance of scoring, making touchdowns, and he has a better catch rate than Stefon Diggs. So I'll compare those two right fast, and then we'll touch on Stefon Diggs later. But between Adam Thielen, this is Adam Thielen's stats: 16 games, 153 targets, 113 receptions, 73.9% catch rate, 1,300 yards, 12.2 yards per reception, 9 touchdowns. Compare that to Diggs, who played 14 games, had 149 targets, 102 receptions, just over 1,000 yards, 10 yards a catch, and 9 touchdowns. Now, granted, they have the same amount of touchdowns, roughly the same amount of yards, but Adam Thielen stayed healthy, got more targets, was way more consistent catching. That's why I have Thielen ranked higher than Diggs. That's why I have him at 12. And then you got Odell Beckham Jr. Oh, good old Odell Beckham Jr. Ranking number 13. Odell Beckham Jr. played 12 games last year. Now, granted, he's going to be on a much better team this year with Baker Mayfield. Eli, man, I'm sorry, Eli, but I witnessed you get slaughtered. Not this year, but last year's Christmas Day game in Arizona. It was a fucking shutout. We sacked the shit out of you. I'm so sorry, Eli. You had like I think we had 2 defensive touchdowns because we sacked Eli, and they took the ball in. Anyway, that was awesome to see that live on Christmas Day. But Odell Beckham Jr. played 12 games last year, 124 targets, 77 receptions, 62.1% catch rate, just over 1,000 yards, 13.7 yards per catch, and then 6 touchdowns. Not too bad. Why do I have him at 13? I think Baker Mayfield is going to be a way better quarterback for Odell. He's going to give him points. He's going to feed. You got to feed him. You got to feed Odell. Otherwise, he gets pissed off, and Baker's the same way. They're going to feed each other. It's going to work out fantastic. Now, we go on to number 14, who is the Super Bowl MVP, Julian Edelman. Now, granted, he was suspended. He was suspended, right? Yeah, I think he was suspended. Played 12 games, 108 targets, 74 catches, 68.5% catch rate, 850 targets, 11.5 yards per catch, and 6 touchdowns. Now, I followed Julian all of last season in fantasy. I played him pretty much every week in some form or fashion, and he is a lot like, who was it? I'm not saying he's Devontae Adams. He is not Devontae Adams, but he was consistent as fuck, man. Whenever the Patriots were in the passing game, which I think is going to take a little bit of a decrease this year, but whenever they were in the passing game, you knew it was going to be Edelman catching because Hogan can't catch. The other guy just went blank. Guy who got suspended from the Browns just went fucking blank. Either way, Brady likes Julian, and there's going to be no Gronk this year, so his throws are either going to be going to James White, who will be right by the sidelines, or right on the line of scrimmage, or it's going to go to Julian Edelman. And you might not see the massive amounts of targets that you could see from other people, but Julian Edelman at 14th is certainly a play that I like, and I think that's how it's going to go. A.J. Green is number 15 here. Let me pull his stats up because it's not pulling up. A.J. Green. Now, yes, he was injured last year, and everyone at this point has owned A.J. Green in some form or fashion. Somehow he always falls like the beginning of the third round, into the second round, things of that nature. Played 9 games last year, 77 targets, abysmal 46 catches, 59.7% catch rate, but 694 yards, 15.1 yards per catch, and 6 touchdowns. Now, Andy Dalton, this is the reason I like Cincinnati, and I liked them last year, but everyone on Cincinnati got injured. But Dalton has A.J. Green, Joe Mixon, and Tyler Boyd on that offense. If they all can stay healthy, they're going to be killer, man. They're going to be fucking killer. I got Amari Cooper at number 16 for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, why do I have him there? Because that was an amazing, amazing trade that Dallas did for Amari Cooper. I cannot believe it. Played 15 games. Now, granted, this is a mix of both Oakland and Cowboys stats, but I mean, let's be honest. Everybody was watching Amari Cooper. Granted, he wasn't always consistent, but he was way better with Dak. I mean, he is Dallas's star wide receiver. 107 targets, 75 catches, 70.1% catch rate, just over 1,000 yards, 13.4 yards per catch, and 7 touchdowns. Now, most of those did come with Dallas, and I think it's going to increase at least to a 10 to 13 year there. Tyler Lockett for the Seattle Seahawks is number 17. Why do I have Tyler there? Well, because look at this motherfucker's stat rate for fucking touchdowns. Played 14 games, 70 targets, 57 catches, 81.4% catch rate, 965 yards, 16.9 yards per catch, and 10 touchdowns. They dealt with a lot last year. It had the running back by committee who was stupidly, they ran the ball so fucking much, man. Russell hardly ever threw the ball, but that's just how it went. But I think this year, now that they know it's no longer Jimmy Graham, because he's in, what is he, in Green Bay this year? Or he was there last year too, I think. Or either way, whatever. Tyler Lockett is number 1 wide receiver in Seattle with Russell Wilson, who has a cannon for an arm. I think they're going to be. I think Tyler is a good, 3rd round pick. Josh Gordon, that was the name who played for New England last year. But yeah, I think Tyler Lockett is easily a good 3rd round, 4th round play if you're looking for a receiver who at least who's going to offer like a touchdown upside. He might get 6 targets a game, but he'll have at least 1 touchdown there for you. Not too bad. Robert Woods, number 18th, because LA is so wild. Now, granted, Cooper Kupp, Sammy Watkins, Robert Woods, they're all grouped together, but Woods was the only guy, I believe, on that team who actually played all 16 games, 130 targets, 86 catches, just over 1,200 yards. Catching on the season, 14.2 yards per reception and 6 touchdowns. Not too bad there. Stefon Diggs, this is where I get back to good old Stefon. I already talked about him. I have Stefon number 19. Kenny Golladay for the Detroit Lions. Why do I have him there? Well, because he came in, I think, week 2 or 3 last year. He played 13 games. And right out of the gun, he showed that he can catch. Matt Stafford can trust him. And you would see that over the course of the season because Stafford would just hammer Golladay. I mean, it was just Golladay and the running back. I can't remember his name right now, but it was just Golladay. Pretty much every down he was catching them out. He didn't always make a whole lot of yards, but he would just get a shitload of catches and a shitload of targets. 13 games last year, 119 targets, 70 catches, just over 1,000 yards, receiving 50.2 yards per catch and 5 touchdowns. That's not bad at all. And then you got Adam Humphries for Tampa Bay. Now, between Evans and Humphries, this is where it's going to be now. Humphries had a much better consistency when he was targeted, especially later in the year, with both quarterbacks that they had. 10 games, 105 targets, 76 catches, 72.6 catch rate, 816 yards, 10.7 yards per catch, and 5 touchdowns. That's not shitty at all. And I think what's his name? Bruce Arians is going to use him very well over there. Now Brandin Cooks for LA again. This is just where it goes. I mean, LA, that's just how it's going to go, man. LA is going to be LA. 16 games, 117 catches, or 170 targets, 80 catches, 5 touchdowns, 15.1 yards per catch. You know, I like Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods for more consistency, but Brandin Cooks is the more, he at least has a higher ceiling at that team over there. Now moving on to my 23rd pick, I got Tyler Boyd going back towards, oops, didn't mean to do it on that one. Yeah, Tyler Boyd for Cincinnati. He really showed up when A.J. Green was injured, and he showed that he can be a number 1, which is good, because if we have 2 number 1s on that team, that means they're at least they're not going to be taken that early in drafts. They're not going to be taken that often in fantasy, at least the first couple of weeks, hopefully. 14 games, 108 targets, 76 catches, 70.4% catch rate, just over 1,000 yards, 13.5 yards per catch, and 7 touchdowns. I like that a lot, man. I love me some Tyler Boyd this year. Let me get over here. Larry Fitzgerald is my number 24th play. Now, why is that? Now, I think Kyler Murray is going to be better than Rosen. I think he's going to be running a whole lot. I think he'll be a better version of Josh Allen this year, at least. Larry, the oldest receiver out there. I mean, it's him and Edelman who are some of the oldest guys, and Larry's 35, but he played all 16 games last year. Never gets injured, man. This guy is built like a fucking tank, and if this is his last year, hope I could see him play. But at least I've seen him score touchdowns in person. 16 games, 112 targets, 69 catches, but a lot of those were that's not Larry's fault, man. It's just some of the throws he's given is bad. But 6 touchdowns for Larry and a shitty Arizona offense. That's not too bad at all. Not too bad at all. Emmanuel Sanders is number 25. I think, why does it keep going over there? Yes, Emmanuel Sanders, Denver, good old Denver. They're going to be kick-ass together. Whether it's Lindsey, I think it's going to be Flacco and Sanders on there. Let me just make sure. Denver, Sanders. I'm just going to make sure he wasn't. Yeah. Emmanuel Sanders. Sorry, I saved the link. Yeah, he's healthy. He's feeling good. He's feeling great in training camp right now. I know it's like day 2 or something, but he's feeling good. And Flacco, you know, Denver just needs a quarterback they can build around. They did it with Peyton. I think it's going to be the same thing with Flacco this year. But Sanders, 12 games last year, 98 targets, 71 catches, 868 yards, 12.2 yards per catch, and 4 touchdowns. I love him. Now, my next one is Kenny Stills 26. I mean, that's just where I end up putting him. That's just where I like Kenny still. It's Golden Tate 27. Allen Robinson for Chicago 28th. T.J. Yeldon and Quincy Enunwa wrap out the top 30. Now these guys, they're interchangeable, but these are some of the late round receivers that I just like. Now, one guy that really stands out to me is T.J. Yeldon, and the reason he stands out to me is I think he's going to be very, very underlooked. He's going to be with the Bills this year. He's going to be Josh Rosen's at least best, quote unquote, best receiver over there, and I think he's going to build a good let's just disregard that word. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. I'm having a freaking stroke right now. That's just how it is. Yeah, Allen Robinson, number 28. That's just where I like him. And then Quincy Enunwa. The reason he's 30 is because I watched a lot of Sam Darnold last year, and granted, Quincy didn't get the love that the other Robinson got in New York, but man, Sam loved throwing to Quincy, especially when they developed more like mid-season. Whenever Sam started, not his first game, but whenever Sam really got into it, he was always passing to Quincy, and that's the reason I have those guys. Guys, I actually did it in about 30 minutes. That's what I wanted to aim for. Those are my top 30 wide receivers this year entering. Thank you guys for listening. I got tight ends coming out, and then I got NASCAR coming out, and then other things coming out this year this month leading up to fantasy football. So guys, best of luck, and thank you guys for listening. See you next time.